Hey guys, Super Z here. So, TDS's long-awaited PvP game mode has been officially released for maybe 2 to 3 weeks now, and I've thoroughly analyzed the game mode and its design to figure out what the hell is wrong with it. And now, I've come to share my findings while also glazing Tower Battles, the grandfather of all Roblox TD games. I mean, to start off, what is the point of PvP? It's to see who's better at defending set waves of enemies, right? And I'd say, yeah, that would be the point of PvP. The problem is, that alone is just completely bland and uninteresting. So that's why you've got to add sending, which now shows who is not only better at defending, but also who is better at sending. So now you've got two avenues that determine the winner: who can defend better and who can send better. The problem is, both avenues have a really low skill ceiling. Like, let's take a look at defending. All you have to do is pick a loadout consisting of whatever is the most cost efficient and has good crowd control. Then you just spam whatever DPS or crowd control tower at a cost efficient level, and that's it. It's so simplistic and one-dimensional to the point that when both players are above a certain skill level, they're gonna know which loadout is meta when certain towers are excluded, and we end up with two guys using the same loadout and the same playstyle. Tower Battles has a similar issue where mostly everyone knows the meta. But the difference is we have the one, the only, the farm, the absolute banger tower that really defines skill. Yes, in Tower Battles, defending is quite different. Instead of brainlessly spamming the most cost-efficient tower, you're actually forced to juggle defending and farming. What I mean is, the player who spends very little on defense takes a risk of possibly dying, but faces a potential reward of getting to spend more money on farms, which rewards them in the long run. Even if two guys run the same loadout, the guy who knows how to milk each tower's worth to its fullest will end up with more farms, and the guy with more farms tends to be the winner. So a dynamic eco race is created to see who can get rich quicker. While TDS does have a farm too, in Basic Arena it's useless, mostly because everything is so easy to defend, and so you're forced to use a late game oriented loadout which requires you to not use farm, since it wastes a slot that can be a DPS or spawner unit. Although farm becomes meta in Fallen and Molten Arena, the way it's used just feels completely watered down. All I would do is just get farms whenever the wave was about to end, and it just worked out. It doesn't feel like Tower Battles where I actually needed to think how many farms I could get away with, because I know if I just spam eco rushes and get farms whenever I feel like it, I'll just be completely fine. Plus, you're only farming for the first 10 waves, then stop because maxing farms is just not worth it anyways. And also, it has a tendency of getting banned, so we would just revert back to boring old spam cost-effective tower. It just feels like TDS is trying to make the farm more of an optional tower when the farm is a tower that actually makes the game fun. And maybe they can find a way to work without it by using eco-based sending, but I also have problems with eco-based sending too. My main problem is, well, you're gonna be sending 24/7. Yeah, my pointer finger is really tired now from all the left clicking I had to do. You guys just couldn't have added some toggleable auto-send feature? In Basic Arena, you're just incentivized to send something that gives you income all game. There's no reason not to send. In Molten and Fallen, it's slightly different, but basically the same in the end. There are certain rushes that are actually threatening, but the gameplay will just shift to sending an eco rush, then switching to sending whatever lethal zombie has a 99% chance of killing your opponent. Now, there are consumables which I like as a feature and incentivizes you to actually stop sending so you can stack protein shakes or whatever, but there isn't any other moment where you actually have the need to stop sending. I think the right way to implement eco-based sending is to incentivize the player to defend as little as possible so they can send more to get more income. If they send too much, they won't have enough money to defend, and if they defend too much, they won't have a lot of income, thus striking a similar balance between farming and defending. The problem is, there isn't a balance between defense or sending. You just do both at once, for the entire game. If we look at Tower Battles, you don't get any eco from sending, so there's only two reasons to send. The obvious reason is to kill your opponent, and the second less obvious reason is to force them to spend more on defense, so they spend less on farms. I mean, if I send 2 boss 1s at wave 9, it might not seem like much. It's only $500 after all, But my opponent may be forced to spend a few thousands of dollars to defend that, which is money that could have been used on farms. And of course, you don't want to send more that is necessary, otherwise you lose money that could have been spent on farming or defense. So in the end, you have more selective sending rather than constant sending, where you have to decide when to rush zombies rather than spamming left click forever. Of course, there is still the major issue where Tower Battles players just don't want to send in general, but that's because we don't have a ranked mode to filter out these guys. But the point I want to make is that Tower Battles has 3 avenues: sending, defending, and farming. So whoever is a better sender, better defender, and most importantly, a better farmer will be the winner. These 3 avenues of which the winner is determined is what makes Tower Battles PvP a 3-dimensional and interesting game. Now, I'm not saying Tower Battles balancing is perfect, it's far from it. But I just find it way better than TDS's current balance. I mean, when it comes to building a loadout, most of the TB towers have pros and cons. Like Marksman may have more range than Golden Scout, but less DPS and cost efficiency. And Golden Commando has way more DPS than Railgunner, but comes with a placement limit and far worse cost efficiency. In TDS, you just pick the most cost efficient DPS tower, which is the Scout, and if that's banned, you just go look for the next to most cost efficient tower, which is like a late game DPS tower such as Accelerator. Plus, if I compare Accelerator with Turret, Minigunner, and Engineer, they're all functionally the same. They're just a high DPS tower with a placement limit and whatever gimmick they have like Recharge, Sentry Building, or Rev Up. It doesn't change its functionality much at its core. They are all consistent damage dealers at the end of the day. The only stat that matters is cost efficiency. Oh, and also, holy power creep. This game's balance has come to a point where I consider anything with a cost efficiency of 150 or more to be terrible. This is because in Fallen or Molten mode, where meta towers like Scout and Accelerator sit around 90 or 130 CE, they overshadow everything else. Plus, Scout and Accelerator are not able to effectively defend rushes all the time, so if you try to use anything else, you're absolutely screwed. So this is TDS PvP. Both players will end up picking basically the same exact loadout, send the same exact type and amount of enemies, and probably win or lose by a margin every single time. Because the game mode is just so one-dimensional, the skill ceiling is half a foot away from the skill floor. And it doesn't help that when you lose the game by a little, you can lose elo by a lot, even if you are both playing very similarly. So in summary, I'm just hoping that the PvP mode has more selective sending, defending, and way better farming, because if I want to enjoy an actual PvP game, then I would just hop on Tower Battles at the moment. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this game mode now. Hopefully the next 100 or so balance changes will finally fix this game mode by 2026, because it's got a concurrent user base similar to that of Tower Battles. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!